Previously occupied by the Cherokee people, early pioneers moved into this area by the 1830s and started farming the land near the banks of the Tennessee River that would later be called South Pittsburgh. In the 1860s, the area would see the Civil War leave its mark. After the Shiloh campaign in the spring of 1862, Confederate forces under General Braxton Bragg were gathered at Chattanooga. The Federal Army under General Don Carlos Buell occupied North Alabama. Expecting an assault from Confederate forces, General Buell sent two divisions under Generals Alexander McCook and Thomas Crittenden to fortify the west side of the Tennessee River at the mouth of Battle Creek. The position was designated Fort McCook, and General Alexander McCook was placed in command. Due to faulty intelligence, General McCook became convinced that the expected Confederate offensive was directed at retaking Nashville, and so General Buell began shifting his units to the Cumberland Plateau in an effort to intercept Bragg. General McCook left Battle Creek for the Altamont and Tracy City area. Colonel Leonard A. Harris, with his two regiments and a small cavalry detachment, was left in charge of Fort McCook. Confederate General Samuel B. Maxey crossed the Tennessee River at Bridgeport and moved north toward Fort McCook. After a short skirmish, Federal forces fell back into the fort. Maxey placed his artillery on the east side of the river, opposite the fort, and began a heavy bombardment. Federal troops withdrew during the night.
The work out of which the enemy was shelled is a splendidly constructed field work, and admirably executed. It is the key to the Sequatchie Valley, and its possession completely breaks the enemy's chain up the Tennessee River.
The 1860s also brought the railroad to the area, which would bring with it the possibility to become a prosperous mining community. Located in Marion County, Tennessee, South Pittsburgh began as a small mining community called Battle Creek Mines in 1869. The area was chosen by the Southern States Coal, Iron, and Land Company to be their iron production center and commercial hub because of its immediate access to both the railroad and the Tennessee River. It was an ideal location. In 1876, the name of the Battle Creek Mines post office was changed to South Pittsburgh in hopes that the city would one day grow to become a great iron manufacturing center like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, circumstances would derail those plans after the company suffered the loss of several officials. Shortly after, the Southern States Company was purchased by Tennessee Coal, Iron, and Railroad Company. South Pittsburgh saw growth through the 1890s up until TCI moved to Alabama. In 1906, the Dixie Portland Cement Company, later called Penn-Dixie, established a cement production center south of South Pittsburgh. The company hired New York insurance executive Richard Hardy to oversee the development of a company town, which became known as Richard City. Hardy initiated a major expansion project in Richard City. Many of the town's buildings were constructed using the company's cement. The plant operated until 1980, when Penn-Dixie went out of business. Richard City was annexed by South Pittsburgh in 1985. Christmas 1927, the result of a year-long labor dispute involving union supporters and non-union advocates, had divided the community and law enforcement officials. The city's night marshal was the former sheriff and had lost his re-election against Sheriff Coppinger. The night marshal had appointed a man who had been arrested by Sheriff Coppinger as a deputy marshal. The conflict arose from tensions between unionized workers and management at the H. Wetter Manufacturing Company, a major employer in the town. When the company attempted to reopen with non-union labor, it led to a strike and heightened tensions. The situation escalated when law enforcement officers, political opponents from the last sheriff's race, clashed, resulting in the deadly shootout. A county deputy witnessed the officers holding a union member at gunpoint and approached them. The city officers then held the deputy at gunpoint before dispersing. The deputy immediately notified the sheriff, who responded to the scene with Deputy Hennessy, Deputy Connor, and his son, who was also a deputy. The sheriff and deputies confronted the officers on 3rd Street near Cedar Avenue and attempted to resolve the situation peacefully by offering to discuss it with the mayor. The sheriff then informed one of the officers he would have to be arrested for pointing the gun at the deputy. One of the officers then opened fire with a shotgun. During the ensuing shootout, Sheriff Coppinger and Deputy Hennessy were killed, along with the city's night marshal, his deputy, and a special officer who worked at the local factory. Deputy Connor, who also served as South Pittsburgh's police chief, suffered a fatal shotgun blast and died the following day. The tragic event left 6 officers dead and several injured. South Pittsburgh is home of the National Cornbread Festival, dating back to 1997, and the Lodge Cast Iron Foundry, which has been around since 1896. If you're ever in the area, be sure to stop in for a visit. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.